Good morning. Hello. Are we live? Did we do it? If you can see me and hear me, go ahead, throw something in the chat so that I know that you're here, know that you can see and hear me. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. All right, let me go ahead and grab um, our link here. Make sure that everyone knows that we're on, that we're live. Again, if you can see me and hear me, go ahead and let me know in the chat so that I don't end up talking to myself for several minutes like I did one day last week. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, Alina. Hey, Gunika, Navraj. Hey, Valerie. Hey, Marissa. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and are ready for another awesome week of distance learning. Whether you are or not, there's only 5 more school days, and then we have spring break. We'll get a real break at home. All right. All right, we got the link out everywhere. Good morning. Good morning. All right, we're gonna get started. So, hey, Fatima. So one of the things that I saw online last week was looking at Twitter, and I saw on Goodreads that they have posted this tweet about like, what is your comfort read? What's the book that you go back to time and time again because it's just like comforting, it makes you feel good. So I'm curious about what that book is for all of you. Maybe it's not a book, maybe it's a TV show or a movie. Go ahead and let me know in the chat, in the comments. Hey, Danielle. And I will share mine when we get to the book talk. All right. So tell me a little bit. What's that book that you read when you just need something that's going to feel good? I'll wait for a couple of responses. But today we're going to have our poem. We're going to have a book talk. We're going to get a chance to say hello. Hey, Jenna. Hey, Mrs. Garcia. Oh, Navraj, a pop-up book about sharks. That's awesome. For those of you just popping in, we're talking about what are the books that we read that are like our go-to comfort books. So books that you read and reread over and over because they make you feel good. Hey, Rija. Jacqueline, the Percy Jackson series, awesome. Kunika, you don't reread books, but sometimes you watch movies. Which movies do you rewatch? To All the Boys I'd Loved Before. I haven't read that one, but that's awesome, Danielle. Oh, Miss Garcia, I know that you've told me about this book several times. She's come undone. I'm gonna have to get on it while we're on break, have some extra time to read. The Ramona and Beezus books, that's awesome. Alina. City, A Story of Thieves series. Oh, Avengers. I'm with you. I've watched the Avengers several times. It's a good one to rewatch. Hey, Indiana. Hey, Jesse. Jesse, you're talking about Leaving Time. Who's that by? Ridger, you don't reread books? Oh, cool. All right. While we're adding in some of those comfort books into the chat, I'm going to go ahead and get us started with our poem for today. So, our poem. Today we're going to be reading Gold Mountain by Emily Young. It is the poem of the day on poets.org. Marissa, you just go back to like a genre, the mystery genre. That's cool. All right, let me type in the poem title for us so that those of us who want to read it can. Oh, Jodi Picoult books, Jesse, are really good. I haven't read that one, Leaving Time, but I've read other ones. Danielle, I like those movies too. Those are good. All right, so we're going to be reading Gold Mountain by Emily Young. This morning, jeweled mannequins in glass in a frame, shadows. Bergdorf's, Saks Fifth Avenue, a dress of Coco Chanel, an opera, a ballet, a world away. Past. Lower East Side, I hear louder and louder, faster, faster, Delancey, Mott Street, rising above the hum of the spinning, the throbbing of the bobbin winder. Sweatshop din. Women from Hong Kong, Mongkok, choked in demonic heat. The fiber dust heat. 12 hours seated in shirtwaist dust. No break, no ventilation, and stooped over her singer. Mother, I never saw her there. Her satin-scented hands, the faint scent of ginger and almond, fingers quickly feeding the machine, fingers cutting up garments, fragments. How could it have been each piece pennies to the tick of the clock? I am 9, before there are words to know what it means to be 9. Happy, and did not know what being happy meant, or innocence. Standing there midtown, outside the Herald's Broadway and 14th, where she did take me, couture wool scraps, ribbons, bullion fringes, faux suede fabric, fleshy appliques. Mother's eyes in the window flashing, looking in, always constructing, the same French coat draping it over Jacquio's shoulder. Would it look runway stunning on me? On her shoulder too, why not on hers? Denim in 12 metallic versions, I clutched my mother's arms, clutched them all the beaded trimmings. Followed her inside, where eyes wide, dilated, lives, yards and yards piled high, bolts of Dupioni, silk, shantung, charmeuse. I caressed them with my fingers. After my mother fumbled into their folds, fibers, creases, infinite dresses of vermilion, gold, the palpable hem of the city, gums on gold, mountain America. I was a child and everything was there. Mother's taffeta dresses, hand sewn and sewn for me. Had I known, consigned to the stars, and then even not that, nothing better than those dresses that dressed her wounds. What did I know? Only that her signature begins in the looping style. Tiny embroidered ladybugs or butterflies swooping down from another realm. I think I saw heaven where she was, and for a while and in her dreams. There then, as in moments, silences precisely sewn, threaded each seam, each crease, the recesses, over and over the way a breath is held, a sharp pain, stitched, unstitched. There it is. Um, so again, that was Gold Mountain by Emily Young. Again, for us AP students who are working on continuing our quick write practice, I think that poem would be great for word choice and specifically syntax. It's hard to kind of get an image of what that's gonna what that actually sounds like, what it in with her line breaks. So if you are doing some quick writes there, I really recommend starting on those places. Good morning, Ellen. All right. So with the poem done, we're going to do a book talk today. And when I heard this Goodreads question of what is that comfort book, the book that you go back to time and time again, just because it's comforting, it makes you feel good. The book that I thought of that is my absolute go-to is Harry Potter. For those of you who really enjoy the Percy Jackson series, I know one of you said that was your sort of go-to series. who was it? Jacqueline. This was like the Percy Jackson of my generation. Um, so I was growing up while these books were coming out. Um, and they're just comforting to me. Every time a new book came out, I reread the whole series up until that point, and I just continue to reread them time after time, especially when things um, get tough. Um, so this book is about a young boy named Harry Potter. I'm going to do the book read from this first book. Really, the one that I've found a ton of comfort in challenging times lately has been the seventh book, the end of the series. But I'll be reading from this first book today. So this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I'm sure most of you know the story. Even if you haven't read the books, you've probably seen the movies or just sort of know what the story's about. But for those of us who don't, Harry Potter is a book about a young boy named Harry Potter. He has lived up until this point. He's 10 at the very beginning of the books. And he has lived with his aunt and uncle and his cousin. He is under the impression that his parents died when he was a baby in a car crash. And on his 11th birthday, he finds out that his parents did not die in a car crash. They were murdered. And that he is a wizard, that they were wizards, and they were killed by the most powerful wizard at the time, who has died and is gone. But Harry is given the opportunity to go to this new wizarding school. So I'm going to read from the first chapter, especially those of us who haven't read the books in a long time or haven't read them ever and have just watched the movies. I really like the first chapter of this book because going back to it is almost surprising. Yep, Danielle, you're a wizard, Harry. It's sort of surprising. And it reminds me, the most recent time I reread this book, I was reminded of something that a college professor told me, that in a great book, all of the themes that can be found in the entire book, or in this case, in the entire series, you can find them on the first page or in the first chapter. So I'll read just sort of the first page-ish. And you'll see some of the themes, even without Harry Potter being in the first chapter, almost at all. So, Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious, because they just didn't hold with such nonsense. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings, which made drills. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large mustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very useful as she spent so much of her time craning over garden fences spying on the neighbors. The Dursleys had a small son named Dudley, and in their opinion there was no finer boy anywhere. The Dursleys had everything they wanted, but they also had a secret, and their greatest fear was that somebody would discover it. So I'm going to stop there. Yeah, Jacqueline, I love the first few sentences too. And especially when we're thinking about themes of a book. This one is really interesting to me because as much as the whole series is about Harry Potter and this wizarding world, it actually starts with his aunt and uncle who are muggles, meaning they're non-magic people. And it really is interesting to start that way in a book that's all about wizards, a series that's all about the wizarding world, to start in the normal world with these people who are so interested in what it means to be normal and in being normal. And finding, as Harry will when he gets into the wizarding world, that there's a whole different kind of normal and we all experience it so differently. So I really love this book. It gives me a ton of comfort when life gets tough. And so if you've never read it before, I really recommend it. They're really easy reads, especially the earlier ones really are children's books. And even when you get to later in the series where the writing is more complicated and the themes are more mature, they're still easy, relatively easy reads, um, and they're fun. They're fast paced, so they're fun. Yeah, Bridget, she really does, describe the characters with a lot of, interesting detail. It's really fun, I agree. Alright, um, so that was my, comfort read. I'd love to hear more about, yours. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, Bridget, the writing does get more mature, I agree that it seems like it matches, like, with Harry's growth. I've also heard it as, like, this first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first book in the series, was J.K. Rowling's first book ever, right? It was her first novel that she's ever, written. So I've also heard it as, like, as she learned how to write, the writing gets better, and that makes sense to me too. I think both are great answers to that. All right. So this week we have week 2 of distance learning, the last week before spring break. Danielle, what house do you think I'm in? That's always my favorite question to ask first. Tell me what you think I'm in first, and then I'll tell you what my house is. Um, So we're doing week 2 of distance learning. We're going to continue with our passion project. This week is where we're really going to start figuring out not just how other people use their passions, but how we can develop and use our passions, and start making some plans for that. Um, I'm just gonna stick around for a couple extra minutes, see if we have any other questions, see if Danielle or anyone else can put in a guess. What is Miss Lindsay's Hogwarts house? Alina says Ravenclaw. Oh, um, so yeah, we're gonna continue working on our passion project. 5 days. Danielle says Hufflepuff or Gryffindor. All right, between two people, we've guessed 3 of the 4 houses. Ridge says Ravenclaw. Gunica says Ravenclaw. Does anyone think I'm a Slytherin? It's part of the guess. There we go. Jesse thinks Slytherin. Miss Garcia says, would be lucky to be a Hufflepuff. That is true. All right. The most common guess there was Ravenclaw, and that is correct. I am a Ravenclaw. Um, so there you go. There's my Harry Potter house. So great. So we're gonna continue working on our passion projects this week. I'm really excited to start getting into developing and sort of making plans for the things that we are passionate about. Reggie, you should be the sorting hat. That's awesome. And I will be excited to talk to you all soon. Remember, the Google Meet links are all posted in a Canvas announcement, and I will be excited to see you all later today. All right. Always remember who you are, what you represent, and to show your Mustang pride. And I will see you all later. Bye.